Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country. It's
time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is, USA Today has an approved list of murder weapons, with David and Gretchen talking about more Second Amendment issues. Then, find out who was outed as an FBI informant inside the Trump campaign. New NRA leader Oliver North weighs in on school shootings, and we will be talking about the Texas high school shooting. Finally, could Will County be the next Second Amendment sanctuary county in Illinois? All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
So it was Saturday night. I was behind on a deadline for an article due at the publisher. I had to get ready to teach all day Sunday, plus try to get ready to leave at dark 30 Monday morning to drag my boat up to Canada for 2 days of fishing. I haven't had a vacation in at least 5 years, so even 2 days sounded pretty good. But the problem was I didn't have a clue what to write for my rant of the week and really didn't have time to find something, let alone write it. Just when the world was at its bleakest, fate interceded in the form of USA Today. We frequently say on the show that liberals have stunningly stunted intellectual capacity, and here's living proof. Friday morning, yet another psycho teen went on a rampage in Texas, killing 10 people and injuring 10 more. 17-year-old Demetrius Pegortzis was armed with a shotgun and a .38 revolver. Both were stolen from his father. Police entered Santa Fe High School 8 minutes after the first 911 call reporting shots fired at 7:32 a.m. Students had seen Pegortzis early that morning, decked out in a trench coat, army boots, and T-shirt with the words, "Born to Kill." Fellow students described him as quiet and a loner who had been bullied. He is reported to have a photo of a handgun and a knife on his Instagram page. The bio section of his profile contained a single word, numb. And then there's the Facebook page with a photograph of a long coat covered with Nazi symbols. Nothing unusual there, right? First to arrive on scene and engage Pegortzis was retired Houston police officer John Barnes, who went on to work as an officer at Santa Fe Police Department. Officer Barnes sustained a gunshot wound in his arm, resulting in significant blood loss and shattered bones. He underwent surgery and is still in the hospital recovering. More cops arrived on scene at 10:06 a.m. Pegortzis surrendered to police, saying he intended to commit suicide. Promises lost. So, thus far, it is, God help us all, a typical school shooting if typical and school shooting ever belong in the same sentence. But this is where it gets, well, weird. USA Today wrote a piece about the shooting saying, could have been worse. In an article in U.S. Today, it claimed that the incident could have been much worse and credited the gunman's use of less lethal weapons as the likely reason more people weren't killed. Less lethal weapons include such things as tasers and rubber bullets, but not firearms with live ammunition. Now get this. USA Today expressed relief that Petzgortzis used such less lethal weapons to murder his fellow students and faculty, and went on to claim such less lethal weapons, quote, may have slowed down the gunman's deadly rampage because they have a slower firing rate, unquote. Now, the article then compared the .38 revolver and shotgun to an AR-15, saying, quote, it can be fired more than twice as fast as most handguns. Seriously? Where do you even begin to rip these people a new one? They all fire at the same speed, the speed at which you can pull a trigger. End of story. The article also stated that the AR-15's larger capacity magazine would allow, quote, a shooter to continue firing uninterrupted longer, unquote, making the weapon more lethal than other firearms. By the way, this kid was pretty darn deliberate because it's reported he told friends of his to run away as he was shooting people. That's cold. The question is, what does an AR-15 have to do with a psychotic 17-year-old shooting a revolver and a shotgun? What's the point? Let's congratulate the kid for his official safe space-approved, kinder and gentler choice of mass murder weaponry, make him a firearms expert, and he can join the self-delusional oinker kid setting national gun control policy. If you're not already convinced there's a conspiracy to disarm John Q. Public, this is yet another milestone to a new low in hack journalism. Even when the AR-15 has nothing to do with a mass murder, the press makes sure it ties in somehow. Come on, you seriously don't see a conspiracy here? And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Well, these journalists have repeatedly shown their ignorance of firearms and how they work and or do not work. But if they think that that a handgun can be fired is incapable of shooting as fast as an AR-15, they've never seen Jeffy or the other Spec Ops people that we know shoot handguns. I mean, that's like true. You've often said, he'll shoot 2 shots and it sounds like 1.
Yeah, he's that fast. It's pretty remarkable.
We know a lot of people who know how to shoot handguns very fast.
The thing is, though, and that's true, but the thing is, this has nothing to do with modern sporting guns, rifles, nothing. No. At all.
They're bringing it in.
And yet the article
so that they can talk about it.
Yes, exactly. The article's about the AR-15.
Well, the interesting thing is I was watching the news or listening to it when this unfolded, and they originally said he had 3 firearms, and one of them was, quote, an assault-style rifle.
Style.
Right.
But then you never heard another word about it.
No.
Which means it wasn't.
But I'm sure the news picked up on that.
They made it up.
Yeah, exactly.
They either made it up outright, or when they discovered it wasn't what they thought it was, they didn't want to say that, because it doesn't fit the agenda. Mm-hmm. But it's just, this is clearly hack journalism. I mean, it's like if you don't like motorcycles, then 2 cars have an accident, and they go, but it could have been worse, committed a motorcycle. I mean, they're dragging in something that has nothing to do with it at all.
Right, that wasn't involved. I agree with you, too. I also think it's really sickening. It's really disgusting that we're going to, the journalist is going to sit there and say, oh, it's better that he killed people with this weapon as opposed to the other weapon. I mean, he killed people, period, full stop, okay?
USA Today. I know it.
I'm laughing out of incredulity, not because I think it's funny. I'm horrified. I think it's just disgusting that a USA Today journalist would sit there and think it and then write it, and then they put it out.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it's like they have a prioritized list of weaponry, and the further down you go, the better they are. I mean, it's,
Well,
thinking of killing somebody? Get this weapon instead, because it's friendlier.
Right. They seem to think like, who was the guy in Ohio that attacked a bunch of people on a college campus with a knife? And,
yeah.
and that got so little press.
Well, right. Yeah.
I can't even remember the name of the college, and I can't even remember how long ago it was, because that's how little press it got. Because if you kill people with a knife, it's okay.
Doesn't work. Yeah, you got to. That's fine.
It's not worth really reporting on. It's not worth, you know, the 24-hour news cycle, because it's a knife.
Well, and there have been occasions where a good guy with a gun has stopped a bad guy with a gun, and it's like one sentence, and you know, it just goes, and Bob shot the guy. That's it. End of story. Nothing about anything else that has to do with it. It's so clearly slanted. There's nothing to question. And this, to me, this is just literally the epitome. Here they're bringing in the hated AR-15 into something that it has no relationship to at all.
It wasn't there. It's like bringing in a witness into a crime scene or something who wasn't there. You know.
It's like letting a dead person testify. Oh wait, we do that. Hi, Drew. How's it going these days?
I was watching Forensic Files the other day, and there was another case so similar. A guy had been married 4 times. His fourth wife disappeared. His third wife disappeared under mysterious circumstances. His second wife had died under mysterious circumstances. And in investigating the fourth wife's disappearance, they had no body. It was just like Stacey Peterson and Drew Peterson. They went back and they convicted him of the second wife's murder first, threw him in prison, and then tried him for the fourth wife's murder once they found her body.
You sure it wasn't just names were changed to
No,
protect
totally. Like the fourth wife was Filipino. She was like a mail order bride.
That really works out well.
Yeah.
I told you I had a friend of mine, one of my colleagues, who three
mail
Russians.
order brides. Yeah.
Yeah, Russian or Ukrainian, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and I don't mean to pick on him, but at some point you'd go, you know, maybe I should go to Alabama or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe after the second one you could be.
Yeah. And it's all, you know, he come back. I never knew the first one, but the second one, you know, he comes back and it's all, oh, she's so cool, she loves me, she wants to, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And then they get over here in about 6 months, like, you know, stall, spin, crash, and burn. They're opportunists. Look, if you get an email from Svetlana, back off. Just back off on that one. Anyway, we'll be back with mail order. No, we won't. We'll be back. We will mention a little bit about what the sheriff said about this thing. It was small.
And also Ollie North.
And then Ollie North. We're going to talk about one of my favorite military leaders, Oliver North, the new president of the NRA. We'll return with more
On Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use my editor, Creative Business Services, and go to print with confidence. That's my editor at mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
I always liked Ollie North. I always liked him. And, you know, the interesting thing about Oliver North, and we were talking about this before the show, you know, he was selling arms. What Reagan was doing. Reagan wanted to support the Contras in
Nicaragua.
And so, and it was backdoor deal. There's no question. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was no question about that. But what they did is they were selling arms to, who did they go to? Do you remember?
Well, I don't remember. Well, Iran, I think.
Was it Iran?
Yeah,
I think maybe it was.
Because they called it the Iran-Contra affair.
Exactly.
So
they were selling arms, small arms, to, not nukes and stuff, to Iran, taking the money and funding the Contras in South America. This was an illegal operation. I'm not arguing that. I never argued that. Congress didn't approve it. But here's the thing. It was a Democratic Congress, if you recall, in those days. They were doing the exact same thing in Afghanistan. The Texas congressman was spearheading that thing. Very similar. Behind closed doors, they were hiding it, too. Mm-hmm. That takes a pair to go after the president and Ollie North when they're doing the same thing.
You almost have to admire it.
Well, it was well done, and I, you know, to be fair, I thought both of them were good ideas. I really did. The Afghanis were getting pounded. I mean, and the Russians were just ripping them a new one. But that is what spawned Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Because we were funding him to fight the Russians, and then just walked away.
Right. When the money spigot turned off, we left him
out to dry.
Bin Laden high and dry.
We really did. And he was fortunate. Actually, it was unfortunate for us, but he was fortunate he didn't get killed by the Russians because they just literally walked away from him. And so that obviously pissed him off, and I get that. I really do.
Oh,
yeah. You know,
it's understandable.
And you know, I'm as patriotic as you can get, but America, like the Brits, has a long history of putting their nose in other people's business, and then when it gets a little too ugly, walking away and leaving them out hanging high and dry. When we left Vietnam, we just literally abandoned. I mean, just bailed out, and a lot of people died because of that. So, as you get older, I joined the Army and volunteered to go to Vietnam. When Iran took hostages, I joined the Navy and wanted to go and bomb them personally. I don't know that I'd be so inclined to do that anymore. You know, let other countries live their own life.
I will. You know, I'm not a total isolationist, and I'm certainly not a total libertarian, but I do lean libertarian. And when I don't remember, I don't think it was a full documentary. It was maybe something I saw on the internet, but there was something I saw about libertarians like Ron Paul, who, you know, do believe in isolationism.
Sure, yeah.
Just
and I don't
total,
believe in that either.
You know, just completely don't get involved in world politics at all. And the point they make is blowback, which is what you're talking about. You know,
exactly.
you know, and they gave instance after instance of, we did this in this other country, and then this is what happened. We did this, and then there in almost every case. I won't say every case, but in many cases there is blowback, and you know, there's unintended consequences, and that is something that you know, it's difficult to foresee, and it's difficult to mitigate.
Well, and you're right. And there's another aspect to this that Americans in particular, really hawkish Americans, and I certainly used to be. I still am kind of hawkish, but I used to really be hawkish. But there's a blindness, and the blindness is this. We think democracy is good for every country. And the truth is, when you get into some of these third world nations, they don't know how to handle democracy. They have no ability to handle it. When you topple a regime, they go wild. They don't know how to deal with it.
Oh yeah, I mean Iraq is a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly.
Of something that happened when I was old enough to understand it, or at least have some hope of understanding it. And basically what Saddam Hussein had done, being an iron-fisted dictator the way he was, he had 3 different Muslim factions, different strains or whatever you call it, different types of Muslims who hated each other, and he got them to coexist by basically saying, do it or don't live anymore.
Cake or die.
Right,
Cake
exactly.
Or death. Yes,
Cake or death. And so they were like, okay, I hate you, but okay, I'll live with you, and so he kept all that suppressed. And when we took him out, it basically pulled the pin on the grenade, and
it did.
And, it was, I'm still not sure. It's not a really bad situation over there. I think it still is.
The question you have to ask is, when all is said and done, are they better off than when we started? And in most cases, they aren't. It doesn't work out. Now, there's also, dare I say it, there's also compelling interest in certain cases. For instance, in the Middle East, what the real driving force was?
Oil.
It's oil, absolutely. And that was because you had liberals who refused to allow us to tap into our own oil. Oh, well, we can go screw those guys. Suck the oil out of their country and let the ground sink 12 inches.
Yeah, and that's really, it was not our fault. What was going on in Iraq is that Saddam wanted to keep all the oil for himself, but he didn't maintain the equipment, and so they couldn't even extract their own oil.
They had to hire expats to do anything.
Right, exactly. Their equipment was so outdated and dilapidated that they, he was basically keeping it all going on. It was like smoke and mirrors, really. He had all these palaces built, but he couldn't really maintain anything because he had no income either. So it's almost as bad as North Korea, where the people are starving. Where I mean, they literally, the people in power have money. And they have plenty to eat, and they have what they need.
Life is good.
And the people, everybody else who lives there is just sucking mud. I mean, they're just barely surviving. And I think that to a lesser degree, that's what was going on in Iraq. And so, I think probably to some degree they are better off than they were before, as far as being able to go out and make a living and, get the economic engine of the country going again.
Well, Arabs are... and I got to be careful how I say this because I don't want to impart the wrong thing. But Arabs are there's a certain arrogance in the Emirates, for instance. So if you go to Dubai, you have an upper class. Well, no, you have a class because there's no lower class. They have no.
They're all upper class.
Right, they have no lower class. The people who do work in shops and do that kind of stuff are all imported. They're expats. The Arabs, the only thing they do, and I'm not like trying to be mean. It's just a fact. I've been there. I've worked there. They run things. They own an aerospace company. They don't go on and do riveting.
Right.
They bring people in to do the riveting stuff.
Sure.
And so you have this class of people. They literally don't make an undergrad. If you, for whatever reason, you're born into a family and there's something wrong with you, you just don't work at all. That's all. You just don't work at all. Mm-hmm. And of course, women don't work. That's it's really kind of weird. It really is. It's kind of weird. But they have so much money that they can afford to do that. And then out in the desert, you have this like community they built for expats, and that's not an uncommon thing. Singapore is the same way. Singapore has no underclass. What they do is there's one big bridge that connects Singapore to Malaysia, and they run 3 shifts a day. In stores and whatever, it's 24 hours a day. They run 3 shifts, and literally, they send a bus across the bridge, and they pick up workers, bring them back, they work, put them back on the bus, and take them home. So you can walk the streets of Singapore at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you don't have to worry because there's no underclass at all. They just very carefully, bring them in, work them, bring them out. It's not slavery.
I was going to say.
But it's tasty close.
It's an extreme version of like upstairs, downstairs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, the Brits are notorious for that sort of thing.
Right.
They go to India, and it's, and they. I almost hesitate to say it, but the Brits were very strict in the countries they were in, India and Singapore, places like that. But they did take care of the people who work for them, because they at least they realized that if you're really abusive to the people that do your lawn, then they disappear, and what are you going to do? You're not going to do it. I'm a Brit.
Exactly.
I'm a Brit. I'm not doing the lawn.
I don't know how to cut the lawn.
Yeah, exactly. Lawnmower? What the hell's that? I don't know.
Right.
So it is that, what's the word I want? The empire, not empire, but what do you call that whole thing that, I can't think of it now. The Dutch colonial homes are a classic example of, I don't know. Somebody call in and tell me what the heck it is. I can't remember. What do you
Talking about imperialism?
Imperialism. Imperialism. It is literally imperialism. I hate to say this about our British brothers and sisters, but if you look at the Middle East, they caused it. Well, they partitioned Israel. They cut, and they did that because they wanted the Israelis to fight on their side, and they promised them their own land. They didn't have their own land,
right?
And they gave them that. Well, you see how that's and rightfully they should have a homeland because all their sacred treasures there. It was the same thing with Pakistan and India.
Oh,
there was no such thing as Pakistan.
Was totally artificial,
right.
Yeah.
And they just, you said, we're drawing a line. Hey, mate, we're drawing a line here. All you over on that side. And they hate each other.
Right.
Brits did it. And then,
there's the mountains where that's like no man's land. Nobody knows like which side of the line they're on.
Exactly.
And they don't, most of the people who are from there don't particularly care.
No. And the Brits just wash their hands and walk away.
Yeah.
Well, we took care of that, didn't we?
Basically.
Bloody good, yes. So somebody was asking me the other day about the Irish. You were talking about that to me? Somebody was about the Irish and the British never got along. Why? Because the Brits treated them like stepchildren.
Slaves,
they were like slaves. The Irish were and they came to this country where they were treated like slaves. So that didn't really work out real well. Ollie North, as long as
but at least when they came here, they had freedom.
They did. I think the primary reason they actually came here was because of the potato famine.
Yes.
They were literally, there was no food.
Right. That was the main thing that the Brits would let them have.
Yeah.
And then it went away.
Yeah.
But yes, Ollie North. So he is our new NRA president. And
yes, indeed.
On Sunday, he said, I believe we can make sure kids are protected without taking away the rights of law-abiding citizens.
And Ollie, this is a big, big surprise. Ollie thinks you ought to have armed guards in schools.
Yes. He called for metal detectors, and he promoted, not surprisingly, obviously he's he's a company man. He's promoting the National Rifle Association School Shield program, which, I looked at it. It's everything we've been saying. It's basically look at your entrances, your exits, harden everything, make it more difficult for people to get in who don't belong there, all of these sorts of things. If armed guards are a possibility, you should do that, all of these things.
He's a very pragmatic guy. I mean, he really is. He's a very pragmatic guy. The only guy I know is more pragmatic than him was, who was the guy that said he was willing to take the fall for Watergate?
Oh, you told me about that, but I don't remember his name.
It'll come to me.
He was a spy.
Yeah, when we come back. I'm sure I'll remember.
You'll come up with that.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll talk about somebody who we can't remember. And we'll also talk about somebody new on the horizon that screwed with the Trump campaign. All that more. And we'll return with more
on Target Radio.
Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474 and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Now, more than ever, with so much anti-Second Amendment propaganda being generated, it is crucial that every firearm owner in Illinois be a member of the ISRA to support its lobbying mission to protect your Second Amendment rights. Meet like-minded friends to hear a great speaker, get an update on what's happening in Springfield, and support the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois. Join us at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
We had a change of power in the ISRA. Doug Mayhall is now president, and he was the chairman of the Grassroots. And now I'm the chairman of the Grassroots, and Gretchen is the vice chairman, and Eric is he makes sure we actually accomplish something guy.
Yes.
But that's fair, isn't it?
Sure.
I think that's
like
fair.
it.
So we shall see.
The enforcer.
If an enforcer. Well, I'm screwed. Ollie North.
So the name you couldn't think of was G. Gordon Liddy.
G. Gordon Liddy. And G. Gordon Liddy, to me, is a little bit of a folk hero, although he is a bubble and a half off center.
Well, I mean, I think to be a really good spy, you probably have to be.
That's a point. That's a point. So this is during the Watergate conspiracy, and G. Gordon Liddy, who had been CIA and was working for Nixon, literally said, you tell me what corner to be on at what time, and drive by and kill me, and then you can pin the whole thing on me. If I were sitting in the Oval Office and Nixon said, well, we got to come up with a way to solve this problem. How are we going to do that? If I were G. Gordon Liddy, the last thing I'd do is,
Nixon.
well, I'll stand on a corner and you can kill me. I think I would go, let's get Haldeman to stand on a corner. We'll kill him instead. How's that? You know, oh, that sounds like a good idea to me. Let's do that, Gordon. Can you arrange that for me? In jail, I understand Haldeman found God. Probably heard about Liddy, and that was why. But this is the story that fascinates me about G. Gordon Liddy, because the truth is, while he may be an extreme and you may not agree with his politics, patriotic he was. Anybody that has literally said, "Go ahead and kill me," that's. There's a great story about him. He's at a dinner party, and a woman is sitting next to him, and she says to him, is it really true what I hear about you saying stand on a corner and just drive by and shoot me and then pin me for the whole Watergate thing? And he goes, yeah, it is. And she says, how can you do that? And he goes, he takes a candle and puts a candle in front of him. He holds his hand over it, and his flesh is burning. And she looks at him and she goes, okay, what's the trick? And he goes, the trick is not caring. No, let's send Haldeman on the corner. That would be a good idea. We could do that. Haldeman was just worthless to begin with. Anyway, so Ollie North.
I didn't get to the bottom of this Ollie North article. He said that I like that he's concurring with David Grossman.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman, and he says that young people, mostly males, being exposed to a culture of violence and being on Ritalin is probably largely or at least partly to blame. But he says we're trying to treat the symptoms, not the disease. The disease is not the Second Amendment.
Well, and see, the thing about Republicans in general, conservatives, we just take the facts as they are. Even if they don't work in our favor, we just go, okay, this is what the facts are. How do we deal with this situation?
Yep.
We don't just make stuff up and to fit. Because in the end, that's exactly what we have done with Johnson's Great Society. They just made up, social engineering. We just kind of, if we do this and that, it'll be okay. And it isn't. And it hasn't been. What is that, 60 62, 63. When was Kennedy assassinated? 62, maybe?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
63. Oh, but you're an educated
I wasn't born
person.
till the 70s.
You're an educated person. But anyways, how many billions of dollars have we poured into that? Billions and billions.
Sure.
And you can make a solid argument for people of color no better off today than they were back then.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The racism might not be as overt, but economically, they're not any better. If anything, they're worse.
Oh, yeah.
And so they just make up facts to fit their thing. They can't explain that, so they just ignore it. Mm-hmm. Well, it's Republicans. It's always Republicans that cause every problem.
It's always us.
Yeah. So anyway, but Ollie North is interesting. He gave the invocation at the. It was kind of funny in a way. At that big leadership conference, he's the new president, and they had him come out, do an invocation, say, "Ollie, good job, bye." Off he went. So I'm not exactly sure what the implication of that was, but it was good. So this Cambridge professor, this is a weird guy. He was a mole.
Well, sort of, yeah. Apparently the FBI sent him to go and see what he could find out from the Trump campaign. And obviously the FBI's motivations are unclear to this point, but President Trump said, he tweeted on Saturday, if the FBI or the DOJ was infiltrating a campaign for the benefit of another campaign, that is a really big deal. And I would say most of us would agree with that.
I would think so.
But yeah, so I said this to Eric before the show, so this is really interesting. So this guy's name is Stephen Halper, and he has worked for Nixon, Ford, and Reagan administrations. He's close ties to the CIA, so he's one of these guys that's been around for a really long time. Probably in Washington D.C., everybody knows who he is.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys, and so it would be easy to have him go talk to these relatively inexperienced campaign aides, which was Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, and just pump them for information,
Sure.
and they don't even know they're being pumped for information.
Yeah.
They don't even realize that they're maybe saying things they shouldn't be saying. The interesting thing is, on Friday, the New York Times and the Washington Post published detailed descriptions of Halper, but did not name him, did not print the name. So it was detailed enough information that NBC and Fox News and some other outlets connected the dots, and they put out his name on Saturday. And but Daily Caller actually identified him back in March. So Daily Caller actually scooped all of them and identified him in March as someone who had repeated meetings with Papadopoulos and Page.
One of the things that struck me, do you remember the guy who went undercover in Planned Parenthood and was videoing people surreptitiously? One of the things that struck me is how much he got them to talk about illegal stuff. They were like proud of it.
They thought that they were doing a deal.
Right.
That's why.
But it shows how arrogant they are. I mean, they don't even vet the guy. They just, and that's the problem with these people. Their level of arrogance is astounding.
Yeah.
You watch them get testifying before a committee in the Congress, and even when they're caught lying, they don't seem like they care. It doesn't seem to bother them.
Yeah.
I mean, they just take it in stride. I remember when they were grilling Hillary Clinton. What an arrogant person.
Oh, that was awful.
It's like I had to take a shower every time I watched it.
It was like, I just ate. Oh, crap.
Did you wipe that server? Oh, you mean with a sponge or a cloth or something?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah,
and she was appropriately already wearing orange that day.
Yeah, I'd
was
forgotten that.
Interesting fashion choice.
Well, she's ready to travel.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the epitome of arrogance that these people have. It's like they think they're untouchable. One of the reasons they hate Trump is it doesn't slow him down one bit. He's going after him. I don't know how it's going to end. Now they're talking about if they take over the House, in the midterms, they'll impeach him. Now, I doubt they can get traction in the Senate, but because you need, what, 2/3 in the Senate, I think?
What are they going to impeach him on?
Well, and that's the other thing. I think that's right. You did what you promised.
You have to actually do something illegal in order to be impeached.
How long have they been trying to do the Russian thing? And what's it done? It's bounced back on the Democrats. You know, and that's
Totally bit him in the ass.
That's the other thing. It's like, go get him for Russia, and they come back and they go, leads to you.
It was actually you.
Yeah. Well, go back and check again. I don't know. And then you get the evil witch of the West who's going, well, I think our platform's fine. We're not going to change anything. Send her a campaign contribution.
That was priceless. I could watch that on a loop. I am telling you. That might be even better than the one of all like the talking heads and the celebrities going, Trump will never be president.
You can take this to the bank. Trump will never be president of the United States.
Take my word for it. He will never, ever be president. Oh, my gosh. That just never gets old.
And the bit about, was it MSNBC that's going, okay, the only way he could do this is to win whatever, but he can't do that. Bingo falls. Okay, so the only way that he could win it now, but that can't possibly happen. It's never happened in his bing.
Cha-ching.
Okay, so it was like, remember we were in that bar that night. And,
we were at Heroes West.
Yeah.
And, you know, every time they're like, okay, let's go back to the Electoral College. And you're like, I mean, I was incredulous. I think my mouth was hanging open the whole night. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what was happening. I'm sure Trump has enough hubris to be like, of course I won. And I was just like, I didn't think this was ever going to happen. I didn't think this was possible.
You remember when early on in the campaign, when there were like 500 Republicans running, Ann Coulter was on.
She called it.
What's his name show?
There's
Bill Maher's show.
Yes.
And they asked her, of all the candidates, who has the best chance, and she right out of the barrel.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. And they all laughed.
They all laughed at her. Yeah. And she was like, I don't care if you laugh at me. She's like, I'm right.
It's Donald Trump.
The other person who, I don't know that she called it per se, but she backed the right horse, if you will, is Sarah Palin.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah Palin came out early for Trump. Yeah. And I was shocked and horrified because, of course,
I like Sarah Palin.
What conservative woman doesn't love Sarah Palin?
I like Sarah.
You know, you would question my femininity if I didn't like Sarah Palin. So, I was kind of, shocked and horrified that she was backing Trump, at the beginning.
No,
but
they did an interview early on with her. She was gutting a moose, and I think it was.
Probably.
And here's an interview with Sarah Palin. Gut trail. Okay, we're gonna go. We'll be back with Barack Obama gilds his legacy as well as his pockets. All that and more when we return with On Target.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
The reason, Lee, is because it's our show. We can talk about anything we want, right, Gretchen?
That's right.
If we go off in the weeds, so what?
If we want to talk about the Middle East and Asia, gosh darn it, we're going to do it.
Now, if you want to buy some commercial time...
No, that's another thing. That's another subject.
We'll talk about whatever you want. I've got no pride whatsoever.
That's right.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
From the Illinois State Rifle Association, on Tuesday, SB 337 became the latest version of gun dealer licensing. I have mentioned in the past how fast this stuff can move, and this is a perfect example. The amendment was added to the bill and was passed out of Senate Judiciary after 5 p.m. on Tuesday. It passed the Senate 21 hours later. Everyone needs to contact their state representative and ask them to vote no on SB 337. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday, May 26th, NRA Basic Pistol, taught by David. Saturday and Sunday, June 2nd and 3rd, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida and Arizona. Saturday, June 16th, Long Range Rifle, taught by Ed Janka. Sunday, June 17th, Introduction to Tactical Carbine, taught by David. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on Register.
I love the beginning of this article about Obama gilds his legacy, because when I first saw that thing, I said, and his pocket. And here it is. He says, this is a story of priorities and hypocrisy, brought to us by a president who saved the Union and was murdered for it, and a president whose policies and malevolence damaged both the nation and the world, and who's being rewarded for it. This is about his library, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, just a small, modest thing.
When we talk about the library, you need to use heavy air quotes. As it turns out, that's a lot of what the article is talking about is the heavy air quote portion of our program.
So, what is it?
So the reason I say heavy air quotes is actually there is a lawsuit. Let's see, where is it? He is being sued, or the library project is being, probably the foundation is being sued.
Is this about the location thing?
Sort of, yeah, sort of, but it's also about what they plan to put there. So, the Chicago Tribune reported in a story headline, "Federal Lawsuit Accuses Obama Center Organizers of Pulling an Institutional Bait and Switch." The plaintiffs accuse the Obamas of doing an about-face on having a real presidential library, which would hold historic documents and archives from the Obama presidency, which would be under the authority of the National Archive and Records Administration supervision. So it would be, government supervised. But what they want to actually put there now, they're saying, is 4 different things. There's going to be a 2-story event space for gatherings with a winter garden and a restaurant. A library, which sans archives, may house a branch of the Chicago Public Library. So it's not the Obama Library, it's just a library.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, exactly. The Athletic Center, which would be a public gym with classes, and a museum, which will house exhibitions. Okay, I hope you haven't eaten recently. Which will house exhibitions about the Obamas in the context of civil rights, African American, local, and national history.
Maybe they'll have Michelle's dresses from her.
That would be appropriate.
Yeah, if they have showcases large enough.
That would actually be appropriate. So in other words, it says, in other words, it will be a community organizing mecca.
Community organizing mecca.
For researchers and anyone else interested in the facts and details about what Mr. Obama did during his presidency, you'll need to go to the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
Where they have a golf course being installed. This guy is so arrogant. It's beyond
he really is.
All
he
belief.
Is so full of himself.
He has arranged, there's a budget for ex-presidents to travel.
Okay.
Because ex-presidents typically are somewhat involved in world stuff, right? So there is a budget established for ex-presidents, and it's generous. I mean, it's not fly coach.
Sure.
He has arranged for a budget for him and his entire family individually, and like mothers and grandmothers, and there's I think I read something like 14 people that he has put into this budget to travel whenever they want, wherever they want. I mean, this guy is he's like a roach, he just doesn't go away.
Yeah. But if it's a budget, that would imply there's a limit.
Unless you change it, which is what he did as President of the United States. Before he went out, he goes, oh, yeah, the travel. We're pretty proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need 1.9 billion. I don't know. This is a guy that I really do feel like you have to take a shower after you listen to him.
It's disgusting.
And the longer we go, the more we're finding stuff out.
Right. And the other part of this article that is kind of the point is that so the General Assembly, the public television here in Chicago reported that there have been bipartisan talks among lawmakers for $100 million in capital funding to assist with the Obama Presidential Center. On the other hand, the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library, which is in Springfield, Illinois, can't pay its bills. So they bought a bunch of artifacts about 10 years ago, and now the bills are coming due.
They're selling them
and
off.
They can't pay. They can't pay their bills.
My recollection is it's nothing to do with Lincoln, though. They're selling off other. I mean, they have other things in their collection.
Right. So that's what it says. It says that they've asked the governor and other lawmakers for money 3 times to no avail. So they're thinking about auctioning off non-Lincoln stuff to pay the bills.
If they gerrymandered the district that library was in and said it was running against a Republican, they could get Mike to pay for it. I'm just thinking outside the voter box there, but, it's a possibility. This whole library, whatever they're calling it, what are they calling it now? Recreation center? Gym?
Yeah, they're calling it the Presidential Center.
Is there a room with a pole in it? I don't know. I'm not sure. But
no, the Festivus pole only goes up on December 23rd.
No, it's talking about the pole, dancing pole.
Oh, that pole.
Although, to the best of my recollection, no one
There's
has
so
ever
many
accused
poles,
him.
I can't keep them straight.
Well, they're all central Chicago, and they don't speak English. To the best of my recollection, I don't think I ever remember anybody suggesting that Obama was an unfaithful husband, though. I don't think I've ever heard that.
No.
Not that I'm trying to stick up for the guy, but I just.
That's one thing I haven't heard.
I don't think that's ever. Probably because she would have killed him.
Well, I've actually heard kind of, and I don't put any credence in it, but I've actually heard kind of like the opposite. Like, they're each other's beard.
I beg your pardon?
Like, he's actually homosexual and she's actually homosexual, so they married each other to cover up the fact that they were homosexuals.
See, I heard she's a guy.
That's what I mean. Of like, she
that
likes
wouldn't be
women.
homosexual. That would be
transgender.
Transgendered.
Yeah. Well, in any case.
Why are we even debating this? I don't know.
Because you brought it up.
I did. Well, you know what? There's the infamous Joan Rivers comment. You know about that?
She said so many things. I don't know which one you're talking about.
No, she was actually very serious. That's the thing. She was walking in somewhere. I can't remember where, and they caught her. Paparazzi caught her, right, going up. And the issue at the time, this was when the bathroom thing, all that stuff was going on.
Sure.
And they said, what is your position on transgender and all that kind of thing? And she goes, oh, it's fine, it's all right, it's not a problem. We have one in the White House now. And she was not joking.
Yeah.
She was just walking upstairs and, it's okay. It's fine. We have one in the White House. She, rightfully or wrongfully, actually, I think believes Michelle Obama is a guy.
Yeah.
Looking at Michelle Obama, I can understand that.
Believed past tense because she is dearly departed.
Well, that's true. And maybe, surprisingly, not long after making that comment.
Yeah.
It was quite close to when she made that comment.
Shades of the Clintons.
Well, it could be. It could be very well. Yeah, the old joke about the two worst lists would be on Clinton's friend list and Clinton's enemy list. I mean, they're sort of indistinguishable. They save paper. It's just one piece of paper.
Right, yeah. They just draw an arrow from one side to the other.
I don't know. Are they going to build this thing here?
Well,
there was some talk about they didn't even want them to build it here.
Right. So it was selected. Chicago was selected as the site.
But there's been a lot of pushback here.
Among the 2 or 3 sites that were discussed. Yes, there has been. Well, there's a federal lawsuit now. So until they get this lawsuit cleared up, I don't think they're going to be able to go forward with it. But they're building it on public land, which is one of the sticking points.
And it's lakefront, isn't it?
If not, it's close.
Yeah.
It's Jackson Park. I don't know if that's lakefront or not, but it's public land and it's parkland, and so a lot of the people who are pushing back against this are saying it's making it so that we can't use the park for what the park was intended for,
right,
which is being a park. Which
I'm sure doesn't bother them in the least. The Obamas.
No, they don't care. They don't care, but it's also. I read something about there's like a neighborhood really close to there that's like a really desirable neighborhood, but it's making it so that the property values are so outrageous, like people can't sell their property, and like it's making it like almost unlivable. Just the prospect of this library coming in, and it's not even there yet. So it's it's definitely a complicated thing that they're trying to put it there. It's just like everything else Obama did. He's just shoving stuff down people's throats that don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. Of course you want it. I say you do.
Yeah. It's like, why don't they just put it in Hawaii?
That's an idea, right under the volcano, the lava flow.
Right. Just put it somewhere where no one will ever see it, because no one wants to see it anyway.
My recollection, I'm pretty sure that you're right about the libraries of past presidents fall under the federal government. But my recollection is that they're paid for by the president. Now, what he does is he has donors. He gets, people who think they walk on water, give him tons of money to build a library.
Either corporate money or, endowment from
But they're independently financed. The government doesn't pay for them.
Right, exactly. But it's supposed to house their archives.
And here's an interesting thing to show you how creepy some of these people are. Clintons are really, they've got this down to an art. You have a Secret Service detail for life. Presidents get a Secret Service detail for life.
Not anymore.
No, but the past ones still do.
It was up to Clinton.
Clinton has a Secret Service detail.
Yeah,
right.
He was the last one.
So, you know what he's done? What he did, it's been a long time now, but he's done it. When they built the house.
Oh yeah, I remember.
In
Chappaqua
Chappaqua, whatever it is. You have to provide a place for the Secret Service. Mm-hmm. So they built a residence for Secret Service, and they charged the U.S. government the same amount of money equal to what it costs them for mortgage on their property. Mm-hmm. If that's not worth closing on, I don't know what is. These people, I swear, they're just crooks.
Scum of the earth.
They're flat out crooks.
Scum of the earth.
Yeah, I don't know. Republicans don't have crooks, well, there's Nixon. But, that's...
Man, the stuff that these people have done since then makes Nixon look like a piker.
Well, realistically, what did Nixon do? He went and peeked and filed. Well, he didn't personally.
Right.
But,
he spied on his opposition.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which everybody does that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen tonight. And we'd appreciate if you tell your friends about Target Radio, which will be one more show. And then we'll be back on AM 560.
Yes.
The answer.
Yes. We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
Just this quick little plug. We will be selling commercial space on Chicago's #1 conservative talk radio station, and it's now, this time around, pretty cheap because we can afford to do it for pretty cheap. So, it's a good idea to get onto it. Anyway, finally, we hope you listen next week, which will be our last In My Dining Room.
Last dining room
covering
show.
More red meat issues that affect your life.